On today's episode of But First, we're going to talk about something that's become somewhat of a foreign concept in today's culture: rest.
Yeah, it's something that we don't do. We don't know how to do. We certainly don't know how to do it God's way. But listen, something's got to give, because what we are doing, it ain't working.
Yeah, I know it's definitely not working for me. I've discovered over the past few years that I'm somewhat of a workaholic. But there is a way out of the cycle, and it's actually been around for thousands of years. Today we're going to talk about it, so let's get to it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Epic Everywhere and episode 3 of our series, But First.
That's right. We're putting first things first as we continue through the new year. And Jake, I have to ask, any rainwater resolutions, any things that you're focusing on for 2022?
In fact, there is. I'm going to be reading through the New Testament of the Bible, so starting with Jesus' birth, kind of at my own pace, kind of slowly, kind of be able to meditate on it as I go through it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. A little bit of a change from last year. I did a Bible in 1 year reading plan on the Bible app, and so that was a little bit like being in boot camp, like every day, like get it done. And so enjoyed it, but this year I'm going to change it up a little bit. So yeah.
I like it. I like that you're establishing rest even in your Bible time, Jake. That's good stuff. I know for me, it's really, my resolutions are kind of around prioritizing a little bit better, prioritizing my morning time, prioritizing time to get to the gym. I just find that if it's not where it needs to be, everything else starts to fill in my calendar. And then I'm like, I don't have any time when I do, but my priorities are just mixed up a little bit. So it's kind of like my own personal version of But First, you know?
I like the plan. I like the plan. Well, I hope that in everybody's plan, you intend to text in every time you do church, whether here for Epic Everywhere or in person for Epic Live. It's so important that we text in. So let's go ahead and do that right now.
That's right. All you have to do to text in is just text the word HERE to 215-999-8575. And listen, there's a reason why it is so important to do. When you text us, we can go ahead and respond with some important information that will be really helpful for you. Also, we'll be able to find out how we can be praying for you. We love to be able to pray for you throughout the week. So come on, fam, let's make this a built-in priority every single time we're hanging out together.
Yeah, definitely do that. It's a great way for us to be able to connect with you. And so thanks for doing that. And bonus, if you are texting for the very first time, we're going to send you a t-shirt. That's our way of saying thanks for joining us and welcome.
Yeah, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. And as we continue to put first things first, we're continuing to talk about it in our current message series. And also, we launched a brand new semester of groups this past week. So hopefully you've been able to join a group. Maybe you even met and had your first meeting together. I know for myself, Jake, being able to get back together with the girls in my women's leadership group, it was so good.
Yeah, I've heard so many great things about that group. Thanks for leading that. And boy, I've got to join some of my groups this past week and see everybody again and some new folks. So really enjoyed that. If you're listening to this, you're like, man, bummer, I'm not in a group. Good news for you. If you haven't gotten in on the groups action yet, it is not too late. First of all, if you signed up but didn't show up for some reason, listen, you just got to shake that off. Just go this week. It's okay. It's okay. And if you haven't found a group yet, you can still join. Just go to epic.church/groups and you'll see all the options there. And listen, it's just so important that you can go ahead and hit pause right now on Epic Everywhere. Go sign up, then come back and rejoin us. So go ahead and do that right now if you have to.
That's right. Joining groups, it's really important. There's a group for every single one of you, and it's where you really develop meaningful relationships. And from those meaningful relationships, it really helps us to grow in our faith. Super important, something we want for everybody.
So another big part of our spiritual growth is serving. One of the cool things about the church is that God's designed each and every one of us to have a role to play. So we want you to find your place on an Epic team. We're going to do over the next few weeks, we're going to highlight some different areas within the church. We call them teams where you could serve and you could get involved.
Yeah, Jake, we've talked about this before, but Jake and I actually started as ushers. That was the first place that we served in the church. And I distinctly remember it. I was kind of hesitant to start serving. But when I did, all of a sudden it became my church. It wasn't this place that I go to. It wasn't, hey, you guys are doing a great job. It was like, we are doing something really special together. And really everything changed. I found myself wondering, like, why didn't I start serving sooner? And so one of the best ways that you can be serving is really with our Epic kids, teens. They are busy investing in the next generation. So we thought it would be great to be able to highlight them and just give you a little bit of a glimpse on what they're up to. Take a look.
Man, what the kids teams do is so important, helping young people from babies all the way up through the big kids realize there's God that loves them and that He has a plan for their life. So good.
Yeah, it's super special. It's a wonderful thing to be able to invest in. And I love the variety of people that are involved in serving with kids, Jake. I don't know if you saw, but last week on social media, we were able to highlight Tweety. And Tweety is part of our Epic Parkside location. And she serves, this is actually Tweety here, she serves with her kids. They all serve at Epic Kids together. It's cool. It's a family thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love that older kids can serve with younger kids. In fact, my son Micah used to serve with the preschool with my wife Allison. And so he had fun with it. And for the younger kids, it was like, oh, the older brother I never had. So it's really fun.
I'm sure he was like a mini celebrity around there.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, if you would like to get involved in serving with Epic Kids, hey, we've got opportunities to serve in many different areas, including digitally, so that you can serve right where you're at. You can just head right over to epic.church/teams, take a look and get signed up. And don't be overwhelmed. You don't have to have a teaching experience or a ton of experience with kids. We just want you to take that next step and we'll take it from there.
Yeah. And you know, this is a great opportunity to say thank you to everyone who serves on a team. You know, you're using your time and talents to help us pursue our mission of helping people come to know Jesus as their forgiver and the leader of their life. That's a big deal. And sometimes you can serve and it's kind of behind the scenes and you think nobody really sees, nobody knows. You need to know that God always sees everything that you do for Him and it matters. So thanks for your faithfulness.
And thank you for continuing to invest financially in what God is doing through our church. And really a big part of that is also what He's doing in Epic Kids and in this next generation. So thank you for being part of it. We are grateful for it. And we want to invite you to be able to give today.
Yeah, if you'd like to give today, all you have to do is text the word give to the number on the screen, same number that you texted into earlier, and that'll take care of that. Also, thanks to everyone who already gives through automated giving. Appreciate your faithfulness.
Well, Jake, I think the time has come. We are ready to kick over to episode 3 of But First.
Well, hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Preston. I'm the pastor of our Parkside and online locations. I'm so glad that you're hanging out with us for church today. And we're in the series called But First, where we've been talking about all of the things that we can get taken care of or get in order first so we can have a great year together. Now, as a pastor, I get the opportunity to walk through so many different things with so many people. And one of the themes that I see time and time again is that the majority of us feel so much pressure in our everyday lives. All right, we carry a lot of these weights and responsibilities. It's like a book bag that we put on our shoulders as we go about our lives. And frankly, we just add to it. Okay, the more life we experience, the more things that go into that book bag, and it really weighs us down. Now, here in the Northeast, in addition to that, we love to move at an incredibly fast pace. All right, we don't have time to slow down. We don't have time to rest. We walk fast, we talk fast, and we drive fast. And man, if somebody gets in front of us on 76, that is a problem. It's painful. It's like pulling teeth, right? It's slow and definitely painful. I mean, think about the last time you were stuck in traffic. I'm sure you were oh so happy. Or maybe the last time you were at the DMV. That line, it was moving super fast, wasn't it? Or maybe it's just like when you're at the grocery store and you're trying to check out and you're looking for the quickest way out of that building, but you can't seem to find it. We just love long lines. Am I right? Didn't think so, all right? There's one exception. The one exception to these long lines is actually Chick-fil-A. For some reason, all the lot could be entirely full, every parking spot filled. There could be cars all the way around the building, And we still line up. We believe Chick-fil-A is going to get us through that line faster than what we think it should be. And credit to them because they often do. Somebody put Chick-fil-A in charge of more than just chicken. I mean, come on. But we like to move fast. We like to get things done. But here's a question. If we were sitting down, you're talking about what's coming up this year. We were sitting down to a cup of coffee. We were just talking. I'd have a question for you that I would ask you. All right, that question would be, what is the greatest challenge to your spiritual growth this year? What's the greatest challenge to your spiritual growth this year? What would you say? All right, have you thought about that? It's really a great question to ask yourself. And while many things could come to mind, I think that a hurried and a distracted life would actually be right up there because of how many other areas it affects. All right, we're far more likely to live at a distracted pace because of these guys in our pockets and all the notifications that we get, or because we sit down and we'll watch Netflix and we'll binge a show and we'll forget how long we've been watching. Or maybe it's just an addiction to Instagram or to social or the latest political fad that we're drawn into. Or maybe it's another Saturday morning at the office. It's another commitment after another commitment after another commitment, and we live these hurried lives. I mean, check this out. Corrie Ten Boom, she once said, if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. What? Because sin and busyness, they really have the same effect on our lives. All right? They sever your connection to God, they sever your connection to each other, and they sever your connection even to yourself. All right, if we're going to get really honest about this conversation, maybe we're having over coffee, most of us, we live at a pace that's just too busy to be emotionally healthy and to be spiritually vibrant. And there's no secret sauce for how to get there, but that hurried pace of life, it destroys it. I mean, think about that. I mean, how many people typically answer the question, how are you? Right? It's a common question. Hey, how are you? And we respond, I'm good. I'm just busy. Right? We're all busy. Okay, that's not even specific to some gender or ethnicity or stage of life or class. We're all busy. It's everywhere. College students are busy. Young parents are busy. Empty nesters find a way to be busy on the golf course. Baristas are busy. Part-time nannies are busy. We're all busy. Now listen, there can be really good things in our lives that we fill our time with. And I'm not talking about just having a lot to do. I'm talking about the problem of having too much to do over time that affects us so negatively that we begin rushing around to get it all done and we can never keep up. And we even justify that kind of life to ourselves in so many different ways, but we're maintaining an unrealistic pace of life. I mean, just last year, 77% of American employees reported at least one instance of burnout. 3 out of 4. More than 50% cited multiple times when they'd felt that they had just reached the end. 50%. If you're watching this with somebody else, they got a job, might have been them. 1 in 2 people. That's crazy. But hey, this isn't just something that started because of the pandemic. Pre-pandemic, nearly a third of Americans were logging over 45 hours a week, with about 8 million people putting in over 60 hours a week. Burnout and exhaustion are so pervasive. There's even a book that claims burnout's affecting an entire generation. It's called Can't Even: How Millennials Became the Burnout Generation. Man, such an appropriate title because we can't maintain what we're doing. In fact, I would suggest that this hurried pace of life is one of the greatest enemies that you're going to face this year. I mean, for example, like most of us would agree that Christians should be known for their love for God and their love for one another. Now, does anything about love happen quickly? No, because loving well and being hurried, they're just incompatible. I mean, I reflect on my own life. When I think about like my worst moments as a dad, as a husband, and just as Preston, as a human being walking the earth, when I'm pressed to hurry and rush, I'm not proud of who I become. All right, whether I'm late for some kind of appointment or something doesn't go as planned and I missed it or my schedule got messed up and I get behind and maybe on some unrealistic to-do list, those are moments I'm not proud of. But when the Bible talks about love and tells us what love looks like, one of the first descriptions it gives is that love is patient. Love is patient. So what if this busyness and our pace of life really isn't that good for us? Maybe It's just something that we've accepted as a way of life. But if we're honest, it's not leading us to the destination we desire. John Ortberg, who's an author, he says, for many of us, the great danger is that we're so distracted. We'll become so distracted and rushed and preoccupied that we'll settle for a mediocre version of our faith. That we'll skim our lives instead of actually living them. That we skim our lives instead of actually living them. Now, we don't want that for you. In fact, God doesn't want that for you, so much so that he's prescribed a plan to keep us from landing here, from landing in the spot that we find ourselves. And it's been practiced for thousands of years. And you know what that's called? That plan is called the Sabbath. Now, what is the Sabbath? The Sabbath is a word that means to stop. To stop. It's a 24-hour period to stop working, stop worrying, stop the pressure of the to-do lists, and over time results in deep rest and renewal. And doesn't that sound nice? Deep rest and renewal. Well, you bet that sounds good. In fact, it was God's idea, and it's why he's gifted us with the Sabbath. Now, here's something I want you to walk away with today. All right, God didn't create us as human doings. He created us as human beings. Now, what do I mean by that? All right, well, human doings, they're defined by what they do and what they produce, not who they are. I mean, we are so much more than what we do and produce. Now, this mentality is so ingrained in our culture. Again, it's one of the first questions that we ask somebody when we meet them. We say, hey, nice to meet you, Bob. What do you do? What do you do? Human doings work to enjoy vacation, right? Because all they do is work, 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 work. That's right. Rihanna dropping it for us. We work, 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 work to get to a vacation. And then we get on vacation and we lay back and we relax and we try to make sure nothing is going to distract us from our vacation. And then we get back to that hamster wheel and we work, 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 work. Now that song is stuck in your head. I apologize, kind of. But we get to vacation and we try to just gasp and relax and do nothing. And then we come back and we work. And then we get to vacation and then we get back to work. And it's just unending. I mean, come on, like if I were to make matters a little bit worse for us, again, just being honest with you guys, has anybody ever come back from a vacation and needed a vacation from their vacation? Come on, I can't be the only one that's felt that before. Now, human beings live differently. Okay, they pay attention to their emotions, their thoughts, and their actions, and they learn from God. They know that everything doesn't depend on what they do or what they produce, and they enjoy this different pace of life, this different rhythm built on the Sabbath. Now, we see the Sabbath all throughout the Bible, but we're going to look at the very beginning today where God creates the world and everything in it, and he does it in 6 days, and then on the seventh day, God rested. But what's really interesting about that is on the sixth day, God created humanity. He created Adam and Eve. He created our ancestors. And so in doing so, that means their first day on earth was a day of rest, because on the seventh day, God rested. God rested. Their entire lives, the beginning of life on earth as we know it, was built on a foundation of rest before they did anything else. And then once God had established rest as a foundation, we see the Sabbath show up again in God's top 10, all right, the 10 commandments. It's right there on that same list that has don't kill, don't steal, all right, no other gods before me. It shows up and it says this: remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy, which just means set apart. 6 days you shall labor and do all of your work, but on the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, but he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. So there you go. Over the course of the year, you are given 52 days off, 1 day a week, designed to strengthen your life and to bring you rest and renewal. How do we do it? Well, the Sabbath has 4 parts, and I'm going to spend the rest of my time talking to you about those 4 parts. So number 1, we stop. To stop is literally built into the meaning of the Hebrew word for Sabbath, and it means that we are going to embrace the reality that we have limits, that God is God and I am not, and there's always going to be more to do, but that things are best left in God's hands. In fact, the world will continue to function when I stop. Now, so often we trick ourselves into thinking like, maybe I'll stop when my kids are no longer at home and they're grown adults, or maybe when I've saved up enough for my first home, or maybe when I retire, I'll stop. But we just trick ourselves into thinking that, and we can make these excuses, and we let this list of ideas of when we're going to stop go on and on. But the core idea here, the core challenge really is to trust. We stop because we trust God. We trust that God will actually take care of the concerns if we obey him by stopping and keeping the Sabbath. Now, what's really, really hard about this is the opposite is also true. All right, by choosing not to stop, if I make that decision, I'm saying, God, I don't trust you enough to handle everything that's going on in my life. I don't have the time to stop and to trust you. But God is trustworthy. We can stop and we can trust God enough to Sabbath. And a great conversation that maybe you can have this week or sometime soon with somebody you know and somebody you trust is to grab a cup of coffee and ask this question, and you guys discuss, what is my greatest fear in stopping for a 24-hour period each and every week? What's my greatest fear in stopping for a 24-hour period each week? And then do it. Stop and trust God. And then once we stop, we do number 2. We rest. We rest from our doings. Remember, we're human beings, not human doings. We step away from this hamster wheel of life that we continue to be a part of, and we rest because we want to imitate our Creator. We follow his example. And just like we read, God rested on the 7th day. So we rest. Now, don't miss this, because it's really easy to stop and not rest. Right? That's why these are 2 different points, because resting can be really, really difficult for us, myself included. All right. But it's important to rest from all that we do. It's healthy for us to rest from what we do, from our work, right? From our physical exhaustion, from hurriedness and multitasking and decision making and technology, maybe even resting from the amount of talking we do or catching up on errands. So maybe you're like, okay, if I do all of that, then what do I do with the time that I've now created? Well, my answer: whatever is life-giving for your soul. Okay, do you like to go for a walk? You like to go for a hike? Go do that. You like eating good food and being with people? That is approved. You like to read a good book up on the couch, get warm? You can do that. You like to take a nap? You bet that's on there. All right, it's probably a sign of how far we've drifted if I'm telling you it's okay to take a nap. But hey, some of us, we need to hear that. Take a nap. It's good for your soul. Now, to rest well, to stop and rest well, it does require some advanced planning. We have to plan ahead for this, which means instead of having all 7 days to get everything done, you're going to get what you need to get done in 6 days and then rest on that 7th day. All right, so that means you need to complete all those tasks, the paying of your bills, taking your dog to the vet, or answering all those emails. All right, that might feel like more work. But I want to challenge that perspective. I want to challenge that thinking. I really think it's really about having clearer boundaries for when we're going to do the work that we need to do. So when you stop and you rest and you recognize that this pace of life is unsustainable and it's not getting you where you need to go, or that you can't be full throttle all the time, now we get to do the 3rd step, which is to enjoy the life God's given us, to enjoy life. Because after God created the world, Genesis tells us that God saw all that he had made and that it was very good. God enjoyed his creation. Now, this is pretty radical if you think about it, because we are much more likely to skim our lives because of the pace than actually live the lives that we've been given. So how do we enjoy life? Well, we can start by paying attention to the 5 senses that God has given us. Engage those senses, the ability to see, to hear, to taste, to smell, and to touch. I mean, think about your favorite restaurant and your favorite meal. You probably love that meal. Take your time, enjoy it. Let your senses take in that experience. Or maybe for you, it's while you're going for a walk and you see an absolutely beautiful sky. Enjoy that. That's God's handiwork. That's his artwork. It's made for you to enjoy. Now, our Sabbath, we are invited to participate and to pay attention to what God's done on the earth and to enjoy those things around us. There's an opportunity to slow ourselves down, to leave room for these interruptions, to walk slower, maybe even take the longer, more scenic route wherever you're headed. I mean, have you ever thought about creation as God's playground just for us to experience? I mean, whether that's through sports or creativity or dance and games, or maybe even just looking back at family photos or visiting museums, All this is meant to nurture the fun that we can have on the Sabbath. Now, one of my favorite authors, his name is Bob Goff, he says, figure out what brings you joy and then do lots of that. Lots of it. Okay, not just a little bit, lots of it. And it begins, that is the process that begins to renew our soul. Now, what's fun and enjoyable to me might not be the same thing that's fun and enjoyable to you. And so your Sabbath might look a little bit different than my Sabbath, and that is perfectly okay. But I wanted to give you an example, a little bit of kind of what my Sabbath looks like and how I attempt to practice this. So my Sabbath starts on Fridays at 6 o'clock and goes to Saturdays at 6. And I do my best to protect that time. I don't always get it right. It's a part of still figuring things out. And some of that's because I have 3 kids under 4. And so literally anytime we try to go out of the house, it's like packing for a vacation. Nothing goes as planned and it's chaos. Another reason it's a little difficult for us, my wife works in retail. Shout out to everybody who does that because your schedule is always changing. I know everybody's short-staffed right now. As a leader at her organization, that's a challenge for them. And so our rhythms are affected by those things. And so when she's able to be present on a Friday evening with us, man, it is a wonderful time where we go into our Friday and we go into that Sabbath and we can truly enjoy it. Other nights, when it's just me, it is absolutely 1-on-3 zone defense for bed and bath time. And I do my best to enjoy that. But like I said, love is patient. And that challenges me a whole lot. So if you're a parent, man, shout out to you. If 24 hours feels like it's going to be absolutely ridiculous and not possible, start with pockets of time, all right? Start with 6 hours and kind of work your way up. Start with a smaller chunk and begin there. I mean, obviously, as a parent, you can't stop changing diapers, all right? But you can stop some things. You can stop the tidying. You can stop cleaning up or cooking or doing laundry. You can give that a rest. Maybe you can hire a babysitter and go out, you and your spouse or something like that, or maybe even trade off, give yourself some time and then give your spouse some time and let that be a period of rest for you. Now, when we get this right as a family, like I said, we tend to enjoy our time together, and we prefer to go out to eat on that Friday night. We love to do that because, frankly, neither one of us love to cook. And so while I'm happy to do it, I don't love it. So we go out to eat. We try to find a good meal. We try to be around each other. If it's just me, it'll be like a movie Friday. I'll hang out with the kids watching movies, doing something like that because I love being around my family. I don't want to miss any phase of my kids' lives. And I want to be present in all that they're doing. So we'll go into Friday night, we'll do that. And then Saturday morning, we'll get up. I love Saturday morning breakfast. Saturday morning breakfast is probably my favorite meal. So we'll do that typically at home. I don't mind to cook breakfast food. Then we'll go to like the park or the playground, depending on the weather. But we do it together. And we're not in any rush to get there. All right, there's no agenda, there's no schedule or time frame. I just get to be my kid's dad and I get to be my wife's husband and to be present. I mean, I thank God for the gifts that they are in my life. Now, it's a good reminder that God has gifted me them and I get to enjoy them. All right, to enjoy my marriage, to enjoy the cultivating of a relationship with my kids. And this time, it really does settle my heart. And then even as the kids go down, like in the middle of the day on Saturday, they'll go down for nap time. I'll get the opportunity to kind of connect with my wife or to read a book or to challenge some of my thoughts and spend some time thinking. I allow God to remind me that I'm his son and that he loves me. All right. And I allow that to settle my heart. I'll read, I'll pray, I'll talk with God, maybe even just watch something that I enjoy watching. But that's and then Saturday night, my something shifts because we get ready for Sunday. It's part of working for a church, and then we get the ball rolling. So now for you, like I said, that could look a lot different. All right, and that's okay. Your Sabbath doesn't have to look like my Sabbath, and it's going to be different in different seasons of life. The important thing is that we slow to stop, to rest, and enjoy the life that God has given us. Now, the last step is to contemplate. Number 4, to contemplate. All right. Your Sabbath should ultimately lead you to think about the love of God and how to apply that to your life. Now, for a lot of us, Sundays can be our Sabbath, right? And so we plan our Sundays here at Epic to be impactful in your life, and we want to inspire you to follow God and to know how much he loves you. That's a part of what we do each and every week to help you and to help support your Sabbath. Now, I've heard the Sabbath described as something like this. You're receiving the gift of a heavy snow day each and every week. Man, no obligations. Nothing. No agenda. No responsibility. No pressures. You have the permission to play. to enjoy the life that God's given you, to be with your friends, to take a nap, read a good book. I mean, how many of us, when looking at this year, said, I'm going to take 52 no obligation days? And here's the deal. God gives you one each and every week. And when you practice this stopping, this resting and enjoying and thinking about how much God loves you and how to apply that to your life, what begins to happen is that principle on the seventh day and those thoughts that you have during your Sabbath and your time with God and enjoying life, that begins to seep into all the other days of your life, those 6 days where you're doing your work. And it begins to transform you into the person that God calls you to be. Now, maybe you started your faith journey a long time ago and you feel stuck or like you're not really growing in your faith. And so I just want to pose the question, could that be because your pace and your rhythm are moving too fast, too quickly for what God desires for you? Man, this has the potential to be huge as you go into this year. But what's the starting line? Like, how do you start this? Well, it starts with our surrender. Okay, we surrender to believe that God's ways are better than our ways, that God's rhythms, his habits, his patterns that are for us are better than the ones that we create for ourselves. And so in this area, we Sabbath, we trust God, and we stop. We rest, we enjoy, we contemplate, and we commit to fighting this drift, this pull, all right, to be human doings, because we know where that leads. And we lean in to the human beings that God created us to be. And we allow God to steady our souls and to remind us of what's really, really important with this life that he's given us. You know, there's a really cool moment in the Bible where God reminds Israel of what's important. Israel, it's a new chapter for them that they're about to step into, and they're reminded of these 10 commandments because they know the story of Adam and Eve and that the 10 commandments said you should remember the Sabbath. But you see, they've been in slavery for hundreds of years. They've been working nonstop, no rest. And just after God frees them, all right, he reminds them of these 10 commandments. But this time, there's a little addition to what God has to say about the Sabbath. And it says, remember that you were once slaves in Egypt, but the Lord your God brought you out with his strong hand and powerful arm. That's why the Lord's commanded you to rest on the Sabbath day. You see, you and me, we need to be reminded that God is big enough for us to rest. Okay, he's strong enough and powerful enough to keep the world moving. And just like he enjoyed creation when he made it, he wants us to enjoy his creation. He wants us to enjoy him, and he wants to enjoy us. And you see, just like God freed Israel, he wants to free us. Not from slavery in Egypt. He wants to free us from workaholism and a hurried pace of life, from the multitasking that keeps us from what's best, from the life that is not sustainable. Now he invites you and me to surrender our ways, our patterns, our habits, to lay them down, and then to pick up this new rhythm, this new pace, the Sabbath, to bring us the rest and renewal we so desperately need. But that all starts with your choice to surrender. With my choice to surrender. Let me pray for us. God, we need you. Show us that your way is better than our way, and help us to trust you enough to stop when life is overwhelming. Help us to stop on a regular basis. Help our lives to grow and to be at a pace where your love can change us. God, help us to trust you, to take the next steps we need to take in this area, and help us to trust you with anything that feels like it's unfinished, to not attempt to run your world for you. God, set us free to reorient our lives around you and you alone. We pray all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Hey, come on, let's sing this song out.
Lord, if you don't lead me, where will I go? Your spirit brings stillness and steadies my soul. So now I reach for you just as I am. Lord, I surrender. I've run my course. I've come to the end of myself. Hurt, shame, and fear whisper that there's no one else. I've run my course. I've come to the end of myself. Hurt, shame, and fear whisper that there's no one else. I'm a mess on my own. I relinquished the throne of my heart. Lord, if you don't lead me, where will I go? Your spirit brings stillness and steadies my soul. So now I reach for you just as I am. Lord, I surrender, surrender. Lord, I surrender, surrender. And you know me, you know me, you know me by name. And I won't be the same. I've encountered your love. You show me, you show me, you show me your way. I won't leave this place without you. You know me, you know me, you know me by name. I won't leave the same. I've encountered your love. You show me, you show me, you show me your way. I won't leave this place without you. You know me, you know me, you know me by name. I won't be the same. I've encountered your love. You show me, you show me, you show me your way. I won't leave this place without you. Yeah. You know me, you know me, you know me by name. I won't be the same. I've encountered your love. You show me, you show me, you show me your way. I won't leave this place without you. Lord, if you don't lead me, where will I go? Your spirit brings stillness and steadies my soul. So now I reach for you just as I am. Lord, I surrender, surrender. Lord, if you don't lead me, where will I go? Your spirit brings stillness and steadies my soul. So now I reach for you just as I am. Lord, I surrender, surrender. Lord, I surrender, surrender. Lord, I surrender, surrender.
Well, thanks so much for singing with us. You know, surrendering to God, it takes trust. And one of the hardest areas to trust God with is with our time. You know, that if we do rest, that everything will get done. But God says that we can trust him, that if we take a Sabbath, we won't just survive, we'll actually thrive. And so like Preston said, God gave us 52 days off a year, pretty amazing. And so I'm just committing myself to make sure that I take him up on that offer and really trust him by taking rest.
Yeah, and honestly, really everything around us, our whole life is built up against doing this. It's hard. It's not necessarily what we consider to be convenient. I know for myself, I was hesitant. I just there's no way I can rest. I have so many things to do, but by being able to establish a Sabbath, I have underestimated the impact it's had on me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, and also having people around me that help to advocate and help to hold me accountable to it has been a game changer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this is something that's best done in a group. And so we can keep each other accountable. We can encourage each other and say, you can do it. And so let's, as a church, let's just decide that we're going to honor God by taking a Sabbath every week and getting the rest that we need.
Yep, getting better together. I like it. Well, hey, thanks so much for being with us today. We hope you had a good time and hope that you'll be able to also share this with maybe somebody else who needs to be encouraged. And really the best way to stay connected this week is making sure that you text the word HERE to that number right on the screen and to be tracking with us on social. All sorts of stuff good that's going down over there.
Yeah, on YouTube here, just hit the subscribe button. Also, that little bell, you can click that. That way you'll be notified anytime new content drops.
For sure. And get on a team. Sign up to serve. Head to epic.church/teams. And if you're new, make sure that you also stick around because Pastor Kent wants to say, hey, Jake, are you napping on me now? What's happening?
I'm doing the godly thing, taking some rest.
Okay, well, Jake's going to nap. We'll see you next week.
Well, hey, thanks again for doing church with us today. If you're new, we're glad you're here. I want you to know we do churches like this online every single week, and we'd love for you to be a part. If you're local, we have large in-person gatherings once a month called Epic Live. It's a full-on celebration. So check out our website for a location that's nearest you. And listen, we'd really love to meet you. So I want to personally invite you to something called the Welcome Party. It's an opportunity for us to connect, hear some of your story, and share some of ours. So text the word HERE to the number on the screen. We'll get you all hooked up. Listen, I really do believe that God has an incredible plan for your life. And we just want to do our part to help you discover what that is. So thanks again for hanging out with us. We'll see you again next week.